Okay, so now, this is the rules. I'm going to define the rules of how life makes itself. Okay? And you'll see this in you. Maybe you recognize this right now in yourself. So the first one is self-making. That's what defines a living system. Self-making, I'll give you an example of self-making. Fingernails growing, but nobody growing fingernails. That's self-making. Hearts beating, but nobody beating hearts. Okay, it's making itself. Living systems exist and function as the whole, but through the interaction of the parts. So you saw that on the last slide, those interactions. It's a network function. There's a communication that's going on between all cells in your body. Not all just cells in your body, but everything that's happening around us. When life flows, patterns develop, called attractor states. The more you know about this particular science, the more you know about this particular body of knowledge, like really understanding how you work as a living thing, the more you're going to be able to influence your own change or healing. Here's the bad news. The more complicated a system is, the harder it is to change. Because it's very, very stable. And yet, if you know how to divide the system, you can have more influence. In this class, I'm going to show you how to divide the flow of all of the actions in this network we call life. We're going to divide it into a domain of the world, the mind, and the body. So we're going to separate these and be able to notice what's happening and the interaction, the relationships. The rate of change, how fast you can get better, is largely dependent on the part of the system that is most resistant. And I'll just let you know ahead of time, there is a part that's very resistant to change. So, some parts are more important or essential in creating the attractor state. So here's the deal. The most critical point of leverage, where we can act to change, where we can influence, is our thoughts. Our thoughts show up by themselves most often, but we can begin to change our thoughts. Thoughts turn into beliefs, and beliefs, in a sense, create that boundary that I was talking about. If we begin to watch carefully our thoughts and work with our thinking and our beliefs, we're changing the most critical and most resistant part. So, changing beliefs produces the most wide-ranging effects. If you can change the way you think, you can change how you feel. All right. The good news, change is actually surprisingly easy if you identify that right part, so the thoughts, and you execute the right combination of actions. I'm going to show you how to do that. With time, doing small actions every single day will have a dramatic effect. And so what I'm doing right now is I'm showing you that the science argues for a daily practice. Last time I emphasized that, start something, that prospective memory. But the science here is saying that if you do just a little bit every day, it's going to add up. Now, one of the most interesting system questions you can ask yourself if you feel stuck, if you want to change something, if you want to get better, one of the most interesting questions you can ask yourself to gain insight into things that are important for that change process is this: what is stopping the change? So after our lesson today, we're going to do an analytical meditation where we just sit for 15 minutes and contemplate that question. What is stopping me from changing? Now, you might not like the answers that show up. Just notice if you're resistant to anything that shows up, but take note. Because your mind-body network, like, you already know what the change is. And then you may still go to the doctor and talk to the psychologist and try to work it out and have somebody else, tell you something to do when you actually know ahead of time what you should be doing. So, very instructive question. All right, so these are the rules of living systems. And now, on to the next big idea.